So Mama, you read the topic.
Oh, well, good evening, everybody. If you have not read it before, our topic for this evening is how do you discover your roots through genealogy? So we have a panel with us tonight of experts and someone with life experience that will share her story. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Marjorie. Yes.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you guys. As I mentioned earlier, last year, about this time last year, we shared, time on stage together. And after the show, I know that lives have changed, and I will share my story a little bit later on. I'm excited about having you guys here, and I'm thankful for the work that you guys are doing because you are changing lives. I hope that the audience will take something from what you are saying and learn from it. And because things come to us because we're ready for them. They don't ever come just because, and when you're ready, the universe will connect you with everything that you're supposed to have. So keep an open mind, ready to receive, and let's have fun tonight. I'm excited about this. Let me go ahead and introduce my guest, Alain. How are you?
Nice I'm well, and yourself. Thank you for having me again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Please tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
My name is Alain Edhart, and along with Jerry and a few other members, we run the Haitian Genealogy Group on Facebook. And I'm, one of the admins and experts, and try my best to help everybody on my free time. I'm a paralegal during the week, and I cook for events on the weekend.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Jerry?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. So as Alan mentioned, we manage the Haitian Genealogy Group on Facebook. So our goal basically is to promote genealogy when it comes to the community, the Haitian community, just to make sure that people understand how important it is to do their genealogy. So this is what we've been doing for the past, Alan, it would be like for you, in the group, it will be 6 years, I would say.
Yeah, 6 years in the group, but I've been doing genealogy since '98. So
there you go. There you
quite some
go.
time.
There you go. So yes, that's what we've been doing. Myself, I live in Canada. I'm a photographer. I work in administration. Working administration by day, genealogies by night. It is. So thank you everyone for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And we have a special guest tonight. Tanya, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya Prochet. I live in New York City, Queens, actually. And I am, for my career, I work as a program manager for capital grants in New York State. I am a mom of twin girls, fraternal. They're not girls now anymore. They're young ladies now, 22. And I do genealogy for fun now. Before, when I initially started, I was on a fact-finding mission for personal reasons. And so that's how I met Jerry and Alan. I joined the Haitian Genealogy Facebook group, and it was with their assistance and guidance and support and jokes and communication that I was able to achieve locating my paternal family.
Tanya, I know this topic can be heavy for some people because as Haitian, we all know how important being secretive can be and how devastating it can be for some families to learn or to put their, private business, as they call it, to the world. What made you decide that it was time for you to go and do that research? and then put it out there.
Okay. First, just like that, being open, being non-judgmental, and understanding that we are all humans. We are infallible. We are not infallible. I mean, we are as varied as possible. We are not a monolith by any stretch. We are part of the human race. What applies to Haiti applies to everyone. So it's not something that's isolated with just my Haitian culture. So the reason why I initiated the journey was because my mom was ill. She was approaching the end of her life. And I inquired about my paternal family because I wasn't confident in her response over the years growing up that the person who she named as my father was genuinely my father. And so the end of 2019, right before the COVID pandemic, and the pandemic actually helped me in this instance because I was working from home and I had a lot of time on my hands. So it afforded me the opportunity to conduct the deep dive research that's required when you're doing genealogy, especially if you're looking for a parent. It's quite different than if you're looking for a great grandparent or someone, an ancestor further up the line. But as close as the paternal parent is to me, I figured, you know, what the heck, I'll go and give it a shot. I'm an open book. I understand how I took the initiative and just decided, okay, I'll take 23andMe and I'll do Ancestry. And so I believe it was November 2019 when my results came in. And I saw a litany of relatives, people that I couldn't recognize, because growing up with a single mom, I pretty much knew my maternal side of the family with my, you know, like the back of my hand, because you learn these things through your mother or through your mother's siblings, and you learn about the family and the culture and where they lived. So when I saw these recognized, I knew immediately from my paternal side of the family, a lot of questions. And I think by happenstance, I can't remember, Jerry or Alan can probably fill in on that. I can't recall what prompted me to join the Facebook Haitian genealogy, but I have a curious nature and I do a lot of internet research anyway, just to learn new things and find things, get the answers to things, to questions that I have. So I think I may have found them through Facebook while searching for anything pertaining to genealogy in Haiti. And that meeting was a blessing because the group were one, very approachable. They are fact-based, they are honest, they are transparent, and they're very supportive. And I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's one of the things that I like about the work that you know, the guys are doing through genealogy. I think there's a support team in there, and they understand what people go through, and that makes it a lot easier when you don't have anybody else to talk to, that you can call them, right? So I'm excited to hear more about your story. Let me just take a quick minute to welcome everyone. We do have lots of guests showing up, and I appreciate you guys sharing your time with us tonight. The topic is something that I think you all can relate to, how to discover your roots through genealogy. And this is something, if you're not familiar with the term genealogy, it's really, for me, what it means is it's one of the most, it's a place where you are educated to find out about who you are, not just your parents, but your roots, you know? And I think it's necessary for all of us to actually know who we are, because how do you understand when you have a migraine, when you have, you know, different disease, when you do things, you know, when you stand a certain way, how do you know when you look different than some of your siblings, you know, when some of you have curly hair, some of you have straight hair, how do you, you know, bring all this together so you can understand it's okay for you to be different? So if we do not accept the fact that it's okay, then we create a problem within ourselves, because then we cannot accept the truth for what it is. So genealogy is really the tool to help you find who you are and embrace yourself. So tonight we're gonna continue, you know, talking about genealogy. We're gonna educate the community, but I do ask everyone to share, and I see some of the people here. Let me welcome everyone. Sarah, thank you for joining us. Lucia, so nice to see you. Good night, family. Kattia, it's nice to see you, and everybody else who's here. Thanks again for joining us. The topic tonight is supposed to be interesting, very, very educational, and also it's supposed to make you think. So take a moment, enjoy, invite as many people as you can. Please share the link, go share it on Messenger, share it on Facebook Live, invite people to join us, because we are actually doing something that's changed lives. And before I give you back the mic, Tanya, let me just share with you guys. Last year, when the experts were here on our stage, we were talking about genealogy. I have a very good friend. We've known each other for years, but we're very close. We get along great. And after the session, she called me and she said, Maggie, I'm going to find out more about my family. And she did. Well, in the process, my friend found out that she and I are cousins. This is the beauty of this thing. So you'll be surprised the people that you're close to, people that you live 30 minutes away from them, people that you've seen every day, that are actually blood relative. So we're going to give you guys more details on it. Please continue to invite and share, and let's go back to the conversation. But Tanya, before I go back, go ahead, Marjorie, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to ask the audience to also ask their questions and share their stories as well. And I had a question before we go forward, but you were gonna say something?
Yes, I would like for either Alan or Jerry to share a little bit about their own experience as genealogists and some of the things that they know can really help people out there.
Before we dive into that, can I ask some basic questions, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Alrighty. So again, like, I'll be honest, although I'm an educator myself, being a teacher, I know what genealogy is, but I never really dive into it. So, and I'm sure there are a few people out there that would like to know some roots, some basic information. So the first question I would like to ask the panel is, what's the difference between the work you guys do and if they go through ancestry, or is it the same thing? Is there any difference? And if there is, what is it?
You want to answer, Jerry, or?
I could take a stab at it. All right, so the way to see it is genealogy is the actual study of a family lineage. It's that simple. So you could have a classical genealogy, or you could have genealogical or genetic genealogy, right? So ancestry would be more of a tool to do genealogy. Does that make sense? So it's really like a tool that you would use. For example, ancestry does have, you could have people that you can hire. You can hire people on ancestry to do some research for you. So there's that possibility. So doing ancestry does not mean, let's say you do the genetic test, does not mean that you're doing genealogy. So you're doing a test, and that test will give you information for you to work with, so it's really a tool. And sometimes you get more questions after doing the test.
The ancestry is not really the end to finding your roots.
Just the
No,
beginning,
It's one
exactly.
of the tools.
it's one of the tools, and sometimes it's the beginning,
It's
so
Yeah.
And my follow-up question, I'm sorry, but which is
Go ahead.
similar to, is like, what are some other tools? Like when you guys engage, let's say a client, a person comes to you. Now, aside from ancestry, what are some of the things you use to get the information needed?
So when it comes to doing that kind of work, obviously we're going to use some archives. One of the things when it comes to Haitian genealogy is since we are outside of Haiti, so we're bound to use online resources, right? So at that point, we use a lot of online archives, whether actually ancestry. We could use Family Search, which is the Church of Jesus of Latter-day Saints, which is very that is held by the Mormons. So that's something that is very useful to us. We can also use our own association. So Haiti has its own genealogical association that is based in Canada, actually. And so all these tools, all these little archives are different tools that you can basically look for the information, because our story, unfortunately, because of past events, is very scattered, especially for Haitians, especially for colonies, actually, for old colonies. So it's good to basically look into all these different little archives to do your research. And at the same time, the main actual tool is to talk to your elders and interview your elders and get your family history down. And before, unfortunately, sometimes it can be too late, but you definitely have to get that information from your elders, the oldest person in the family, the friends of the family. So these are the different tools, and people can take a look at this at either in our Facebook group. Facebook group has a lot of resources, or you can just go into our HaitianGenealogy.com, where we give you like a rundown, like a 101 genealogy and what to do.
I'm sorry, but this one is a follow-up question to the same something you stated also. Knowing Haiti, we're not known to document things as most people know. It's not like the United States where everything is documented. So I would think you will encounter some difficulties, or how difficult is it to really find some information that you might be looking for? Somebody want to take it?
I think Alan and Tanya, they basically I'll let them take a stab at it.
Yeah, I can definitely say some lineages will be easier than others. Some will be difficult. It does happen that depending on the area that you're from, or who your family may be, or where they were raised, will change it. If your family, farmed land for 3 or 4 generations, they might not be going to the civil register's office to register their children, compared to you working in Port-au-Prince and you had a career. So that does change how you do your research. So like Jerry said, to go off what he said, it's really about contacting the elders and the family and doing the research. It's not impossible, but it is difficult. I myself, being a part of this for over 20 years, I've encountered many brick walls, some lineages. It's taken me 5, 6, 7 years to even get an answer, because it's been with DNA and research. And then I find out, somebody had a child out of wedlock, but that child has the pictures, the stories, the history, and all the information. So it truly takes time, it takes patience, it takes effort, and it takes a clear mind to accept everything that you're going to find, because you're going to find things you didn't expect. You're going to find things you didn't want to know. There's the good, the bad, the ugly. We've seen it all, we've done it all. And when you guys do join the Facebook group, there's so many experiences of what people go through. But I also wanted to add to what Jerry said about ancestry. There's a lot of platforms that you can use for your research. The only issue I see is that they don't understand like the demographics of the land. They don't know the history. Like I can tell you, there are certain records don't exist in the south of Haiti due to fires. Certain records don't exist in Cap Haitien due to an earthquake. So there's things that we know in the group with the timeline of Haiti's history and the presidency and civil unrest or whatever may take place. So we know how to direct people to the right area location or to the right person who excels. We have people who have a lot of knowledge in Cap-Haïtien or in the Jamie area or in different areas. So it really depends on what, you're searching for. And I'll let Tanya go ahead, and she knows this as well.
Well, what I'd like to add to that about the archive is that we're not unique in that aspect, because there are other nations, other countries who've experienced natural disasters, who may have experienced, a particular regime for their administration, who didn't or couldn't document or log everyone in. Certain countries just don't have the infrastructure. And so, surprisingly, during my journey to locating my paternal family, I found that the church records were really well documented. Of course, the Roman Catholic Church is a big staple in Haiti. And so, we celebrate baptisms, we celebrate communions, we celebrate weddings, we do funerals, we do last rites. So all these things are logged in with the church, and they've proven to be quite helpful in confirming other documents that were found in, let's say, the registrar's office of a local community or village. So while, like Alan says, it is difficult, you have to be tenacious, you have to be committed and dedicated, and you have to have a natural curiosity to look, and you also need a lot of logic skills, because it starts off as a science-based thing, and that's the tool. That's Ancestry. That's 23andMe. You have to give your DNA, your cheek cells, your saliva, in order for them to process the DNA. And if you're not familiar with DNA, there's a ton of information, including, like what Maggie said about health implications. There are some things that are genetically passed along. You don't understand why you have curly hair, but the rest of the people in your family has straight black hair. Well, there's a genetic reason for that. And the genetics fall the way they fall. There's no rhyme or reason to it. However, that's part of the natural curiosity that you have to have in order to explain why or how someone is related to you. Why is this person your ancestor, and how they are? That's the first step, is actually the science. And the second step becomes the logic. Okay, well, I know if this person is listed as my grandmother and this is a child of my grandmother, that's an uncle. that's who they are. You have to have an understanding of relationships. You have to understand, that sometimes some people don't share the same parents. There's a half sibling in there, and I'm not even going to get into that, because that makes it even crazier on your family tree when you start building the tree. And so it's not a 1-2 end all be all. Everyone has a reasoning for searching and seeking their lineage. Or you take the DNA. There are some people who take Ancestry and 23andMe, and they just want to know their ethnicity. And that's okay too. They just want to know, what region of the world does my DNA represent? Like, where's my family and my ancestors? Where are they from? And they stop right there. You have other folks who take it a step further. Well, wait a minute. I didn't know I had Swedish relatives. How did that happen? And so that natural curiosity pushes people to investigate, to dig deep, and to learn things. And through that process, there's history, there's the historical aspect of where people are from. There's the sociological aspect, there's the economics, there's politics involved. And so you figure, okay, wait a minute. Why is it that the period between 1940 and 1950, there are no census records available? Well, maybe they had a natural disaster. Maybe there was war. So you have to keep all of this in mind while you're conducting your research to say, okay, there's an explanation for it. And at the end of the day, that's what the Haitian genealogy group also provided for me, was context. You know, I've been to Haiti one time, and that was during Duvalier. We're talking about 1980s. So there's a lot that has happened in Haiti, and there's a lot that I'm not familiar with. And you have to be open and humble yourself to say, okay, I'm ignorant on this subject. Please explain to me why there's a gap between these years and I can't find my relatives or any records. And so
Tanya,
the group actually was fundamental with their assistance. They provided the basics, the foundations, and I took the ball and ran with it.
Go ahead,
may I?
Mama. Go ahead.
Yes, you had mentioned curiosity and understanding. My question is that enough for someone to get into that line of work, or is there a course they have to take? Is being curious enough, or what could make somebody being great at what you guys do? And two-part question, what got you guys, aside from wanting to know your own roots, ancestry, what else, how can someone start this process and become great at it, aside from understanding and curiosity? Is there a course?
There are courses available to learn more about genealogy. There are tons of genealogists available on Ancestry, on certain websites. You can just do a Google search and find one, and they'll assist you, of course, at a cost. So now the question becomes, how curious am I? How much is my curiosity going to cost me? And it's a matter of cost and time.
Yeah.
If you don't have time, because I'll tell you right now, you are going to devote hours and you're going to end up going down that rabbit hole when you find one thing and then it leads you to the other thing and then you find something else. So in order to, if you don't have the time and you have the money, find a genealogist. They'll assist you. Henry Louis Gates Jr., I don't think he's up for private practice to assist anyone. I don't know what his going rate is, but he's pretty formidable in the ancestry and the genealogy stuff. But if you don't have the cost, but you do have the time, then yes, you can do this yourself, but don't expect an end all be all. I tell people all the time, this is a never ending thing. Like there's you don't reach a point and go, okay, I'm good.
But one of the things too is to answer one part of your question is the fact that you need people that do understand Haitian culture and Haitian history, because you could have someone that is very, very versed into genealogy when it comes to European or American genealogy, but once they stumble on Haitian archives, there are certain specifics that they need to understand. They need to understand the culture. They need to understand the names. Like you take you take a genealogist that is used to have a certain format, a certain way of setting up, of seeing names, and keep in mind that our people, we have a special way of doing, setting up names. So if you think about, if you go far back enough, the way we do names in the US is not the same way that they used to do it in Haiti, when let's say every generation they would change depending if the person was married or not. Just like a little technical thing that I'm giving you, they would change. They would give the child the first name of the father as a last name. So you end up basically every single generation, the last name changes. So what are you gonna do? You know, if you're a genealogist that is used to very structured, you know, so you need to know this kind of stuff. And again, yes, there are some courses when it comes to genealogy. Mostly it's done by people who are doing history major, usually are the ones that usually get into that. That's far back. That's usually how it's been. But since there's been a boom for the past 10, 15 years, we're seeing, at Tanya mentioned, a lot of courses, a lot of workshops that people can take to you know, you learn as you go at the same time, but you definitely can get certifications. And of course, if you have a history background, that's perfect. And also the curiosity that you need to have is, and also it's also, I think, it seems to me when I look at everyone that we've talked to, everyone seems to have like there's a certain point in their lifetime where someone says, I need to connect with my family, I need to know about myself. Because you go through life, except Alan, because Alan's been doing this since he came out of diapers. But there's a time, it could be, I don't want to be doom and gloom, it could be the pass of a relative, you know, someone passed and you're like, I wish I knew more about that person. And then you go that road. It could be that you found out certain things about your family, and then you're trying to learn more about yourselves. So we notice that genealogy is always linked to some type of event in people's life that usually makes them start genealogy. And again, that's what we're here for. And genealogy cannot be done in a vacuum. I always say that you can't do that work by yourself. You really need to have people around you that understand what you're going through and can explain certain things, like Tanya mentioned, and give you a context in certain situations. You can't just say, well, I'm going to do research. You're just reinventing the wheel. So just come into the group. We have about 7,400 people, and that is 7,400 different experience. That is 7,400 different answers that you can get from someone when you say, hey, my family is this last name from this area. What do you know about it? And people will basically throw things at you and give you more or a little bit of a context, right? If that makes sense.
If I can add to what Jerry and Tanya said, curiosity is one of the biggest points of starting your research, but you also need to be a little bit open. It's difficult. It's difficult enough to navigate through Haitian culture and through our elders and aunts and uncles because there's stuff, you know, on the hush hush. They don't want to share. They don't want to say anything. But like for myself, what Jerry said, I started my genealogy journey because my father passed. I had just turned 11 that June. He passed that August, and there were so many people at the viewing and the funeral and the church. Like the priest went to my mom saying, was your husband some kind of politician or some kind of somebody? And everywhere you turned around, oh, I'm your cousin, I'm your this, I'm your that. I'm like, are you sure about that? You know, like I haven't seen you my whole 11 years of life. And my father was very much a family man and wanted to talk and know everybody. So that spurred me into asking, how exactly are we related? Because my dad has two sisters and two brothers, but why do I have 65, you know, matons and 35 mononks? Like, I don't think my grandfather had that many children. Then come to find
The
out.
math and mathing.
Yeah, it's right, you know. Then come to find out, I was raised with my father's maternal side of the family. My grandfather was one of 13. I had no clue, never met any of them. So it's like you figure things out, lo and behold, but it's all about community. You cannot do it alone. I would not sit here and say that my 20 plus years of research, I've done any of it alone. It's with groups, it's with individuals, like even me and Tanya. I'm looking at the post right now. I posted January 15th, 2020, saying I'm looking for any information with the Porsche family. Tanya responded to me, I'm Porsche by my stepfather. Mind you, she tested in 2019, right? So 2020, we started going back and forth. And Porsche is my mother's maternal great grandmother. Nobody knows anything about her. We have no history, no stories. But Tanya, a random person who I had never met a day in my life, jumps on Facebook and we start talking. Next thing you know, we're on a 4-hour phone call. And she is raised by my maternal family. She knows them better than my mother does. And she's sending me pictures, my great aunt. praise God, is turning 95 in September, hasn't seen pictures of the family since she left Haiti in like 92. So Tanya, who was a newbie to this, shared my family info, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So you never know who you run by, who will have the information necessary, and who will connect. Because like Tanya just shared, she was looking for a paternal family, but she was raised by my maternal family. So it kind of piece everything together. And me and Tanya have had many nights, Zoom calls, phone calls for
For
hours.
hours.
And her daughters are like, Mom, she's like, I'm on the phone. I'm like, you'll get off, you know? And we're just going because I'm helping her find information. She's helping me. And you need the community. You need the assistance. You need the help. You cannot do it alone. It's impossible to do it alone.
I'm glad, Alan, you reminded me of the date. See, it was that time. That
Yeah.
was around the time I started. See, Prochet is not my paternal family's name. That's my stepfather's name, and I've always known he was my stepfather as a kid, which added to the questions about, hey, wait a minute, if this is the stepfather and I have his last name, then where's the guy whose name I'm supposed to have?
Right. Well, on my side, because I think when you came in, it's because we were on Clubhouse. I think is it on Clubhouse that you found us?
No,
Okay.
Clubhouse came like maybe a year ago, a year and a
Okay.
half ago, in the middle of the pandemic. But
Okay.
I started prior to that November, before the whole March 2020 shutdown.
But isn't it how you found the Facebook group?
Yes,
There, yeah,
I
that's
found it on Facebook.
all
Yes.
right. Okay, I see. On my side, like when it comes to the experience that, there's so many different like little experience that we had and all that stuff. But actually when I did 23andMe, I've done Ancestry since 2016, and it was I mean, I'm one of these tests, that you get some, little connections here and there, nothing much. But on my father's side, it's only when I did 23andMe and I found a connection with, I found a half cousin, and this is basically the son of a half brother to my dad.
It was a half.
And but the funniest thing is, when I found the guy, so basically what I found is I found people that matches him, right? So when they say, okay, this is the family, so I'm like, oh, okay, so I know this family, and they say, yeah, this guy is part of the families, and that person is someone that lives in Montreal, and I actually knew the guy from 10 years ago, and we have common friends and everything, and the guy is my half cousin. This is close family, but I never knew it.
Wow.
It's insane.
It is. And that's why we are here. That's one of the reasons that we bring expert on the show to talk about these things. As you guys know, we have no limit to where we go with our topics, and we cover everything. Genealogy is something that we all need to know. And often we think it's not something pretty to talk about, because for some people it brings shame, for some people it brings tears, for some people it brings happiness. So regardless of where you stand, I do hope that you will get something from what we're sharing tonight. And if you do want to reach out to either one of the experts that here with us, just send me a message, or you can text them right there on the put a message right there if you want to reach out to them. And then I'll make sure that they get it. Or if you want to send me a message to Messenger, and then I'll share it with them. But let me also acknowledge the people who are here who who come to share the time with us. Evelyn said, thanks for all you do, Alan. And she also acknowledged that you were correct on a statement that you made. Did you say amazing? Sarah said, right, it's crazy how small the world is. It is when you look around, we are all one, although we may have different name and different things, but we are one. Lucia said, interesting topic. I've been asked many times about my last name, De Riviere, because yes, you have a French name, although Lucia, you're not from Haiti, but in the Caribbean where you are, I know they speak French. That's probably a part of it too. Most people ask me if I'm Haitian. It is said to be of Haitian origin, and that's true. That's true. Angela, thank you for joining us. Miss Vava says, wow, that's awesome. Evelyn and everyone else who's here, I appreciate your time. And I thank you guys for sharing the video and for inviting people to join us tonight. The topic is beautiful. It's really not just to educate the community, which is what we do, but also to give you power, knowing that there are people who can help you. If you find yourself in that situation where you don't know what to do and you find out, you know, whether recently or years ago, that daddy's not really daddy. Unfortunately, it has to come from daddies. Daddy's not really daddy. Daddy is the stepdaddy. And then you're trying to find out, then where is daddy? You know, so this space gives you permission to say it's okay to find out who daddy is, because if something happens to you, you want to know where it comes from. And if you turn out to be a singer, but there's no singer in your family, now you know why you have this, you know, skill.
Why you have that voice. That's right.
Yeah. If you turn out to be, you know, someone famous, but there's no one else in the family that does anything that you do, now you can put the, you know, everything together, just so it gives you some clarity. There's nothing more in life than peace of mind. And as long as you keep searching, you are still looking. So when you find what you're looking for, it gives you peace. So I'm encouraging everyone to ask yourself that question. What is it that you want to know? And here are the experts here on our show to give you the answer. So
Audrey has a question, as always.
Yes, I know Tanya has lots of stories to share. We do want to give her the stage to share a little bit, because her stories is so powerful. And I know it's going to really connect with a lot of the people here. So go ahead, Mama. Please ask your question. And
It's quick. I just wanted to know, since this your community is Haitian based, is it limited only to Haitians? If anybody else comes in and want to know, would you guys service them?
Oh, actually, yes. And you'll be surprised when it comes to our community. If we look, the community will have a lot of people coming different places. And as I mentioned before, don't forget, our story, though it's African based, is scattered all over the world.
Yes.
So we have people from Spain, we have people from all the Caribbean islands. Our sister island, our sister group, which is the Dominican Republic. There we do have a very important tie, genetic tie, because every time you do a DNA test, you end up with a lot of connections with the Dominican Republic. So you cannot deny it. Also connection, because the history says it as well, because the history will tell you that there are people that came from the other islands, because Haiti was free, as obviously, you know, as we know the history. So a lot of these islands, you have people basically coming in very early in history. So you have people from Guadeloupe, Martinique, whether it's from St. Lucia, whether it's from help me out here, Curacao,
St. Lucia,
Saint Thomas,
Panama,
Panama, everywhere that you have Haitians. And we're not talking about things that are new immigration. We're talking about like people that have been there for a while and brought their genetics and brought their last name, whether people that are from, and actually on our YouTube, we have this presentation that we did where we are showing different immigration of people coming from the topics that we use in the actual video are specific to certain countries, because these were the topics that we had at that time, but it does not limit to that. Also, so just for that, we have Italy, Germany, people that are coming from Africa as well, from different countries in Africa, West Africa, people that are coming from, especially very important to understand, there's a very special link between Haiti and the south of the US,
Yes.
Baltimore, South Carolina, Philadelphia, Louisiana, and New Orleans,
South China,
Lebanon,
Poland, Russia, even Brazil. I mean,
exactly. So you're gonna take that DNA test. Yes, there's more. The majority of your DNA is gonna be African, but you're gonna have a little bit in there that is coming from all over the world, and that's how. Not saying that you will find out, but we're working on that, and throughout the years, hopefully, we can have something that is more structured that will allow us to get more, of course, answers.
And just to add to that, we also have we have quite a few members, I would say a lot of members who are, their family was either from Haiti or moved out of Haiti maybe in the 1800s. They did a DNA test and they're like, wait, I have all these Haitian cousins and Jamaican cousins and cousins from St. Croix, but they live, in the Midwest in the United States. So now they're trying to find their link to their family. So we really have people of all walks of life that come in of all ages, old and young, to seek and find out their roots and where they're from.
And one little thing I wanted to add, and that I should not forget, is don't forget we have people who are adopted. People are adopted that are all over the place, all over the world, and do not speak Creole nor French. And most of the time they come in and they would speak Dutch, they speak Spanish, they speak all different languages. And these are the people usually that we try our best to help, but it's very difficult because the structure when it comes to adoption structure is very, is very different when it comes to the adoption in Haiti. And we try to help as much as we can, but obviously that's one of the toughest ones. But obviously it's all open to everyone, all walks of life, so that are basically trying to connect either with Haiti or Saint-Domingue. That as well is important.
Before we close tonight, I'm going to ask you guys to please share your contact and so people can reach out to you, because the work that you guys are doing is so amazing and it's so necessary that whether or not, people right now who are watching don't realize it, but I'm sure after they start thinking about it, they're going to be, questioning themselves, is this person my family? This person kind of look like me. I didn't know, but perhaps I should reach out, to someone who knows to help me through the journey. So we will share your information. So for those of you who are interested, please give us a minute, before we close. We'll definitely have them share with you guys. Go ahead.
What was the question again?
You're about to share your experience.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you. Right. So in 2019, my mother passed away in 2018. And in 2019, I took both Ancestry and 23andMe DNA tests. I was quickly able to recognize my maternal family. However, the names that showed up that were unrecognized by me, I put them in a sort of in a box to say, okay, these are the unknowns. So odds are they're most likely paternal or quite distant. There was one particular person who I shared a lot of DNA with. And I reached out to him and I was so excited because I said, this person is definitely on my paternal side and they're listing him as my first cousin. So here's where the logic comes in. So if he's my first cousin, then he is the child of an uncle or an aunt who's a sibling to my father. So I reached out to him and I said, look, I'm looking for my dad. And he's like, well, good luck because I'm looking for mine too. So I said, well, tell you what, 4 eyes are better than 2. He took his DNA test a year before me, and he had done some stuff here and there. But when we put our heads together and we conducted Zooms for 5 hours, we would do phone calls and back and forth text messages, FaceTime. He even came up to New York, and then I went down to North Carolina to see him, and we found a family tree of my paternal family, and it was open to the public. So we were able to see the names of the people in the family tree. So he took one side, I took another. We split it in half and started looking up social media profiles. We started from the bottom because we knew the younger folks are into social media. Older folks won't be. So we'll leave that. We'll connect with the younger cousins with that line of cousins first and try to piece this puzzle together. And that's exactly what we did. We connected with cousins, found out that we had about 22 first cousins. I learned that that male first cousin who I initially connected with through the DNA test, he is the child of my uncle, and his father and my father were full siblings. And they're from Jacmel. That's an area I have no familiarity with. My maternal family is from Pichonville in Haiti. So Jacmel, like, hey, wait a minute. My mother never said anything about visiting Jacmel. But then again, knowing my mother had been in the US since 1962, and she had never gone back to Haiti. So I knew, okay, great, the connection was made here in New York. My mother wasn't one to travel often. So the questions that gave me some guidance. It laid down which questions to ask the cousins. And one of the first one I asked was, hey, wait a minute. This gentleman, this particular guy, did he ever live in New York? And they said yes. Did he live in Brooklyn? Said yes. Did he live in Flatbush? They said yes. Did he live on Nostrand Avenue? They said yes. Okay. So Nostrand and where? It's like, oh, Nostrand and Beverly Road. Okay, well, I lived on Nostrand and Avenue D. By the way, that's 2 blocks away from each other. There was the check. I checked that box. Like, okay, apparently my parents met in New York somewhere. And then I made I drew the conclusion that based on the responses from my paternal family, they had no idea I existed. They never knew that my father had a daughter. I learned that I have a half brother. He's 12 years younger than me. And rumor has it that my aunts tell me this story all the time, that my father always wanted a daughter, but didn't know that he had one already. And so now here comes the open mind part, right? So I'm a mom and I do anything to protect my children. I don't know the reasons why my mother never informed my father that he had a child. And of course, early 70s, this is the time period when I was born. This child support thing wasn't an issue, wasn't common. And especially for the Haitian community, we generally we're too proud to seek child support. This is totally an Americanized thing. We have our children, we'll take care of our own. We will manage with our children. And so my mom, that's the avenue she took. And so I'm the baby of 6 children, and none of my siblings look like me. And so there was always a question in the back of my mind, why am I so different from the rest of my siblings? My maternal family don't believe in half. They don't believe in that word half, right? Especially if you share the same mother. You may have a different father, but you come from one womb. You're a sibling no matter what,
Yeah.
right? So my siblings never made me feel like half. In fact, the Crochet family never ever made me feel like half. They knew I wasn't their part of their family. I'm not their blood. So they never made me feel that way. But the questions always persist. And especially, why do I do the things I do? Why do I like the things that I like? Why do I look the way that I look? It's different from everyone else. So I got my answers. My paternal family I went to school for urban studies, and I self-proclaimed urbanologist, right? Anything that has to do with the city of New York, I'm all for it. I'm all about it. I know the history of the city, all the boroughs, the neighborhoods, you name it, especially the subway. I
I
don't like it
concur.
though. I'm into urban planning. I love all this stuff, right? And I currently work as a civil servant for the state of New York. Well, I couldn't understand why I had this, I went down this route. And my uncle informed me that, there's a saying in Creole, las papas du, right?
Yep.
The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. It,
Mhm.
it, it doesn't basically loosely translates to that, but my uncles, they were architects. They built buildings that are still standing in Baltimore. What's a Haitian doing in Baltimore? Okay, so my grandfather ran the water company in Jacmel, and then it was passed on to my uncles. So there's a whole background of civil servants, of people who were like-minded, civic-minded, and it dawned on me just maybe 8 months ago, that when I was informed by my uncle that these were the trades, these were the careers of these folks. I have a distant cousin who was one of the Tuskegee Airmen. And to learn that, like, wow, we are trailblazers. Okay, so instead of being called the black sheep of the family, I tell everyone I'm a trailblazer. I let's put a positive spin on it. And the DNA backs me. So when I made the discovery and I got in contact with the cousins, and then I got in contact with my uncles, and I learned that my father passed away in 2011. Um, Unfortunately, not knowing that he ever had a daughter, and he passed away, and a couple of other uncles passed away from prostate cancer. This was a flag for me because I've never had cancer, a history of cancer. So now there was a conversation that I had to have with my medical providers that, hey, I got to change some of those check boxes, that my father passed away from cancer. So there's that concern, but there's also that relief that now I have the medical history of my lineage, right?
Yes.
The beauty of this whole journey, I love meeting my paternal family. I was welcomed with open arms. I traveled to Baltimore. I traveled to North Carolina. I've traveled to Miami. I went to Orlando. I mean, Atlanta. You talking about just meeting people, and they're like, "Wait a minute. Are you serious? Like, you're so and so's daughter?" And when I went to meet my aunt in Miami, that was to me the ultimate, right? Because I'm greedy and I love food. And my aunt welcomed me with this big beautiful cake, and I learned that my grandmother, she was a baker and a seamstress, and she used to bake for the community in Jacmel where they lived. And every morning she would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she worked this big oven that she had in her backyard to bake bread, to bake pate, to bake anything and everything that you can imagine in this big oven. And the oven was running from 4 a.m. until about noon. And she fed the community that way. Again, civic minded and philanthropic and charitable. And right. So my aunt gives me this humongous cake, this beautiful cake. And I looked at her, and she just looked at me, and we're both like, you know, we look alike. Like, do you know the joy of seeing you in someone else that you didn't know existed? It's a reflection. It's a mirror. It's an identity. It's a connection. It's familiar. It's blood. it's history, it's the whole context that everything that happened from the early 70s has come to a culmination right there, looking at my aunt.
Mm.
So she was pleased, and of course, she's an aunt, so now the phone calls every week, you know, I had to get used to that, but I love it. And I'm in connection with my brother, and he lives in Montreal. In fact, I went to visit my brother in Montreal, and that's when I met Jerry in person for the first time. And Jerry was part of that too. And it's just been amazing. You know, the world is truly small. Globalization did not occur in the 2000s. Globalization was always happening because people took ships. That was the mode of transportation. And so I don't know, there seems to be some sort of negative connotation about Haiti. I'm not going to get into that, but people tend to think that, oh, there was like it was a fort, like a wall up to the sky, and Haitians didn't travel, they didn't have businesses, they didn't live fruitful, productive lives in their society, that they didn't engage in premarital sex, they didn't have affairs, they went to church every day. You know, these misconceptions and misnomers that we have about humans
Yep.
will hinder your process.
That's true.
I had to come to terms, and I pretty much knew because my mom was a party girl by the time I came around. You know, you had 5 kids, you kind of get more, you know, you're tired. So by the time I came around, you know, she handed me off to my older sister. My sister was the babysitter, the free babysitter in the house, and my mom went out partying. You know, this is what she did. Okay, I accept it. I get it. I'm a mom. Sometimes you want to run out the house too and leave the kids behind and just be you because you were someone before you became a mom. You
Yeah.
were, you had dreams, you had aspirations. There were things my mother couldn't accomplish because she had 6 children.
Yeah.
So, you know, learning to accept people where they are, not just for genealogy, but in life in general. Okay, we need to be kind to one another. We need to just not be too judgmental and understand that while some people may look irrational, it their behavior looks inexplicable, or you consider it to be unethical or immoral.
Mhm.
There's a rhyme and reason for it.
That's
They
true.
may not share it with you because, hey, maybe it's none of your business, but
Mhm.
they may not share it with you. We're humans. Haitians have shame, they have guilt, they have fears, just like everyone else. But they also love. They're prideful. They're joyful people. They're resilient, and you see that as you build your family tree. And I got to see that, and I'm still seeing that, and it's a beautiful journey. And the past is the past. Whatever happened in the past, we also have to let that go. We can't hold grudges, and we can't inherit. We can't internalize whatever happened. For years, I thought, decades, I thought that I was a product of an affair, a product of, you know, 2 people who engaged in an affair, and you know, they call that the bastard child, and it's not nice. It's not. It doesn't feel good, especially when you hear people saying, "Oh, petit dehors," you know, the outside kid, only to learn that I was never an outside kid. And that sort of straightened my spine when I walked down the street. Because, you know, when when I shared my information, what I've learned with my siblings, they were so receptive and so happy for me because they knew this was an issue for me growing up.
Yeah.
You don't have know who you are. You don't have sure footing. You make a lot of missteps, and I've made a lot. They call those daddy issues, right? Where, you know, there's no male figure in the house, so you don't have anybody to emulate. You don't have the male figure there to sort of give you the male perspective. And so you take all the BS that comes in relationships because you don't know better.
That's true.
So all of that plays into our psyche. All of that plays into how we behave today, or our thought processes, or our relationships, and our work, and what we choose to pursue, and how we interact with each other.
Definitely.
So that's been my journey. And again, it's still ongoing because, like I said, this tree never ends. It never stops.
If I could say one thing, I always thank Tanya for being open and honest on her journey, because people need to see the results of hard work and determination. They need to see the results of taking the time to do the research, to make the phone calls, to call the family. Like, on the Facebook group, every time Tanya's traveled, she posts pictures of the family that she's met. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, she's found her father's family. And she posts pictures with her brothers and her cousins. And it's beautiful to see the years of work blossom, full circle, to show people that it is possible if you have to do the work. So thank you, Tanya. I just wanted to say that.
Doesn't it feel also every single time she shares something, or anyone that finds people, because we had a few, and when they find someone, it feels like a win for us.
Like it's your family.
It's like your family for some reason. It's like you're like, yeah,
Like, Tanya sent me the picture of her dad. I'm like, oh my gosh, we found daddy. Like, it's not my father, but I felt like, because I was on the journey with her from the start, it's like, I feel like I found my family with her. And it's a beautiful thing to come full circle. I mean, it's beautiful.
We all rooting for every single person.
Yeah.
People that come in and be like, oh my God, I just found out this. Or sometimes they don't even find an actual person. They find a document. And one thing that is amazing, and I always mention that to people when I'm doing their trees, is if you find a document and you find, let's say you find a great grandfather, it's amazing to see their signature. You're looking at someone that wrote exactly, you're seeing their ways of writing their names. Obviously sometimes people were not educated and could not sign their names, but still having a document showing their name in that period, and that is just amazing. It's an amazing feeling. It's like you are able to see something that, as Tanya was mentioning, that defines you. It defines who you are. It gives you a better footing on who you are. It's different. There's no feeling like this. There's definitely no feelings like this.
That's true. Mama, you want to add something before we close?
No, very informative, educational. Thank you for answering all of our questions. And I'm sure our guests have learned a thing or two tonight.
Yeah, it's been an amazing 1 hour that we shared together. I've learned so much from your story, Tanya. And I think I don't know if anybody else took it the way that I did, it's to look at the positive aspect of it. So you're not a bastard, you're not a child that was left behind. You are a human being that was conceived because God put you on this earth for a reason, but also in that moment, it was love or whatever reason,
right?
But you're here. Just look at something positive from it. Don't make anybody make you feel less than who you are, because we all are enough. You are perfect just the way you are. And God made you enough, regardless of where your parents come from or how you got in this earth. The fact is, you are enough. So just remember that. And if you feel too embarrassed to reach out, change your name, do something, but find out who you are.
Anonymous.
Yeah, find out who you are, because there's nothing better than that, than to know, okay, this is where my family come from. This is who I am. That's my name. And it's okay. It should be okay with you first. And if it's okay with you, it's going to be okay with the rest of the world. But something else that I want to share with you guys, as we talk about all these things in regards to ancestry, there's something that Tanya mentioned that I don't know, maybe I brushed on it a little bit earlier. It's your health. You need to find out why your body is the way it is. Sometimes you don't know why you have diabetes. Sometimes you don't know why you have this disease because nobody in your family has it. Your mom's side doesn't have it, but you don't know who's on your father's side. So genealogy tests will help you to discover your roots, find out who you are, and then have the clear understanding of why things happen to you. So if you didn't take anything tonight, I do hope that you took that. And as we're getting ready to leave, I do want to ask my panel if there's anything else that you guys want to share before we say goodnight.
Oh, I forgot to mention, my paternal family they're from Lebanon. They're Arabs, Haitian and Arabs. So that was another leg of the journey, learning about the Lebanese presence in Haiti, the Arab presence in Haiti. And
So
that's also Alan.
Thank you, Tanya, for sharing that. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Jerry, you want to share anything before we go?
Well, it's just inviting everyone to come into the Facebook group.
Yes.
We've been promoting genealogy for a while, and we see a lot of groups that are having like 30,000 people, and it's not about views, it's not about making money or anything of that sort. A lot of us, I mean, we're not paid.
Right.
We're not paid. Really doing this because we do think it is very, very important for the community to know and to gather that information. Keep in mind, someone that is 80 years old, 90 years old, or 100 years old right now, these are the people that hold the secrets, not the secrets, but the actual names and information of your ancestors in the 1800s or late 1800s. When these people are gone, I can tell you that information is gone. Interview your elders, and you don't think that there's no archives that you're gonna go to or anything of that sort. Our archives, even though they're okay, but they're not the best. And the information that you can get from your grandmother, you will not get that information anywhere else. Get into the Facebook group, just come in, answer the membership questions. We're open to everyone that want to learn, and open to everyone that want to do their journey. Go on our YouTube. We have our YouTube where we're basically going to post a lot of videos, instruction videos. Go on our TikTok or Instagram. So we all over the platforms, and help us basically share the word about Haitian genealogy, because Haitian genealogy is actually Haitian history and legacy.
Thank you. Thank you so
I
much.
agree.
Alan.
Yes, definitely. Thank you guys so much for having us again. It's always a great experience. And join the group, even if you're not of Haitian descent, we have connections with many other genealogists around the world who can assist us with many things. I myself, as Tanya said, I'm also of Lebanese descent on my maternal side. And like, I've been in touch with a lot of the Lebanese, Haitian descendants, because I know genealogists in Lebanon who can assist. We have people that we have connections in Baltimore, in New Orleans, in Jamaica, in Cuba. So even if you're not of Haitian descent, we can still be of assistance, or not give you to somebody, that's all right, but recommend you to somebody who's going to be able to assist you in your journey. It takes a village. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to do your research, because it's definitely not going to be easy. Tanya shared so much amazing things. And when you join the Facebook group, go in the search bar and just put Tanya's name, and you will see her journey from when she started to the picture of her father, pictures of her uncles and her cousins. And it's truly something beautiful to see all the work come back 360.
Thank you. Thank you again, guys, for sharing your story, for giving so much to the community. And thank you to all of you for sharing your time with us tonight. Again, if you want to reach out to any one of the experts on the panel, please reach out to us. Leave me a message on Messenger, and I'll make sure definitely that they get your message. And as we're getting ready to leave, you guys know how we do it. We have one shot at this thing called life. Our job is to enjoy the journey. Hashtag OMD, everybody. Hashtag
Money in
OMD.
my destiny.
I saw yours, Fifi, Miss Valerie. I saw your hashtag. Thank you, guys. I love you and I appreciate you guys. And I'm asking my panel to please stay with us for 1 minute as I close. Please give us a second. Love you guys. I'll see you next time. But I do have some news to share with you, Marjorie. Do you want to share the news before we go?
Which one?
Next week, about next week, about.
Oh, yes, next week, our show has come to an end. Next week will be our final show. Therefore, please join in because we're gonna be talking about everything and anything. Join in and have a farewell, come and party with us.
Yes, and we will be taking the show to a different level. We will share that information with you guys as soon as we have it, but we're not going to disappear. The Maggie and Kattia show will stop, but we're gonna take the show to a different level. So you guys will still be invited to come and sit with us, hopefully face to face, where you can be interviewed and share your story. I love you guys. Thank you again for everything. Good night, everyone. Panel, please give me 1 second. Don't leave yet. And then I'll see you soon. I'll see you guys soon.